Welcome to A Scottish Castle a Day, brought to you by bagtownclans.com. I'm your host, Colin MacDonald, and today we're venturing deep into the heart of Argyllshire to explore the fascinating ivy-clad ruins of Ardchonnel Castle, also known as Innis Chonnell Castle on Loch Awe. This ancient fortress, situated on the wooded island of Innis Chonnell, once served as the original stronghold of Clan Campbell, one of the most powerful clans in Scottish history. As we dive into its storied past, we'll uncover the legacy of the Campbells and how this unassuming island came to play such a significant role in the Highland clan's turbulent history. Ardchonnell Castle, perched on the eastern shores of Loch Awe, was likely constructed in the 13th century, though it may have roots stretching back even earlier to the 11th century or beyond. The castle was originally a simple enclosure, a common design in the early days of Scottish stone castles, built to defend its inhabitants rather than to dazzle visitors with luxury. The walls of Ardchonnell were imposing in their day, measuring 7 to 8 feet thick, and while the internal arrangements of the castle have crumbled into obscurity over the centuries, the sheer strength of those stone walls is a testament to its primary function: defence. One of the most significant elements of the castle's history is its deep connection to Clan Campbell, a name synonymous with Scottish history and the Highlands. The Campbells' origins are closely tied to Loch Awe, and Ardchonnell Castle served as the clan's seat of power for several generations. Callian Mor, or Sir Colin Campbell, was one of the early patriarchs of the clan. He met his end in 1296 while fighting against Clan MacDougall at the Battle of Red Ford, not far from the castle. His son, Sir Neil Campbell, rose to prominence and further cemented the Campbell legacy by aligning himself with Robert the Bruce during the Wars of Scottish Independence. Sir Neil's marriage to Bruce's sister, Mary, and his participation in the legendary Battle of Bannockburn in 1314 are key moments that tied the Campbells' fortunes to the future of Scotland itself. In the early days, the Campbells were a powerful force in the rugged lands of Argyllshire, and their stronghold on Loch Awe became a symbol of their dominance. This dominance is captured in the famous Campbell slogan as a far cry to Loch Awe, a boastful phrase used to emphasise the difficulty their enemies would face in reaching their distant and well-defended home. Ardchonnell Castle, situated on an island and surrounded by the serene but expansive waters of Loch Awe, was a natural fortress, nearly impossible to access without substantial effort and planning. The combination of thick walls, a remote location, and a strategic viewpoint made Ardchonnell one of the most secure residences of the time. But Ardchonnell wasn't just a castle for defence, it also played a role in one of Scotland's more tragic stories of captivity. In the late 15th century, the castle became a prison for the young heir to the Lordship of the Isles, Domhnall Dubh, or Black Donald. After his father, Aongus Og, rebelled against the Lord of the Isles, young Donald found himself imprisoned by the Earl of Argyll at Ardchonnell. The Campbells, ever loyal to their cause, used the castle to keep a tight grip on the boy, who posed a potential threat to the delicate balance of power in the region. Donald spent his formative years in captivity here before eventually escaping in adulthood. Despite raising an army and launching a campaign against his captors in 1503, he was defeated and spent the next 40 years imprisoned in Edinburgh Castle. His eventual release in 1545 saw him briefly claim the title of Lord of the Isles, but his reign was short-lived, as he fled to Ireland shortly after and died in exile. By the 15th century, the Campbells had largely abandoned Ardchonnell as their primary residence, choosing instead to move to larger and more modern estates. However, the castle continued to be used for various purposes, including as a prison, reflecting the shifting nature of clan power in the Highlands. As with many medieval castles, the gradual transition from fortress to ruin began as the needs of its inhabitants changed and new, more comfortable homes were built on the mainland. By the 19th century, Ardchonnell Castle had fallen into a picturesque state of decay, its thick walls now draped in ivy, with only the vaguest remnants of its internal structures visible to the casual observer. Today, it stands as a shadow of its former self, but its importance in Scottish history remains undiminished. The castle and the island it stands upon are now designated as scheduled monuments, meaning they are protected for their historical significance and preserved as part of Scotland's rich heritage. Standing on the shores of Loch Awe, looking out toward the now quiet island of Innis Chonnell, it's easy to imagine the bustling life that once filled its halls. The Campbells, one of Scotland's most powerful families, walked these paths, forged alliances, and battled their enemies from this remote, rugged location. Ardchonnell Castle may be in ruins, but the stories it holds, the rise of the Campbells, the imprisonment of Black Donald, and the centuries of conflict and clan politics remain a vital part of the Highland legacy. If you ever find yourself in the area, I encourage you to visit Loch Awe, soak in the majestic beauty of the landscape, and take a boat out to the island. Standing amid the ruins of Ardchonnell Castle, with the still waters of Loch Awe stretching out around you, you'll find yourself connected to centuries of Scottish history where the past seems just a little closer. Thank you for joining me on today's episode of A Scottish Castle a Day. Be sure to tune in tomorrow as we journey to another castle steeped in Scottish history. I'm your host, Colin MacDonald, and until next time, Slán go foil.